Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's time for another daily dose of Dismal Disney. Disney stock is dropping. We're trying to figure out why. It could be a number of reasons, but it is interesting that it started dropping after CinemaCon.
It is.
With
their Nothing Burger announcements.
Yeah. So, look, a lot of people are pointing out that stocks in general are dropping because of tension in the Middle East.
Which is true.
Which escalated today, by the way. I'm not going to get into details, but Google it. But this is an ongoing pattern. If you look at the last month, you can see that it's been dropping steadily
Go back up to the peak. That was right when they started finding out that they thought that Disney had the most votes. And then as soon as the news started picking up Disney had the votes, it has gone down, 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 down.
Yeah.
If you wanted to make money, keeping it status quo was not the way to do it.
No, and that's, I think, what people are seeing. I think they're seeing that Disney is just going back to the status quo. All the stuff they announced at CinemaCon, we'll talk about that, is just like, and so what? Basically, so what? Not at CinemaCon, as far as I know, was Snow White.
No.
They're burying that bitch.
But what we did hear was, oh, look, it's Captain America, and we're going to redo the Avengers.
Without the Avengers.
And then the Thunderbolts that no one really cares about. And then a Daisy Ridley swimming movie. And, hey, look, Mufasa. Is that live action one too?
Yes.
Live action. Well,
yeah.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Another one that nobody wants. And then the only one I think that people actually got excited about was Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
That's it. And maybe Inside Out too. Maybe. But I think that one isn't going to be that great either. But we'll see.
Moana 2, I'm going to be honest, Moana 2 will probably make money, but it is just a repurposed television show.
Well, I think Inside Out 2 is going to make money. I just don't know how much it's going to make.
Yeah.
I think it'll come out ahead. I just don't know how well it's going to do. It's going to depend on what they lean into.
Yeah, and a Lion King prequel, so you can feel even worse when he dies. I'm sorry to spoil that for you. So anyway, let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants. Guys, you get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Again, just to go back, like right after Disney won, they also lost because, they won the battle, but I think they lost the war because investors were like, oh, so Disney's going to be exactly the same as it's been for the last couple of years.
And even if people still thought that it wasn't, every time that they have an announcement, they're starting to think that, like the CinemaCon stuff. And then he said, oh, we're not going to do it. I hate using the term woke, but we're not going to do the woke stuff. We don't know what that is. And then announced the Silver Surfer is going to be a woman. And then they said, oh, we got all these new exciting announcements for Disneyland Paris. Yeah,
they're announcing all these attractions, and they're all for overseas parks.
And everybody wants to know why Disney can't tell a thing. It can't title things without the word adventure in it.
What are they calling it now? Like Disney's something
Adventure or something like that. Park. I don't know what they're calling. I forget.
They were gonna retheme not California Adventure. Sorry, same difference. Hollywood Studios a couple of years ago, and they were floating around some different names like Disney's Cinemagic Adventure and Disney's, whatever.
That was a while ago.
That was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Gosh, it all blends together. People you know what you're talking about. We've been doing this for a long time.
People are like, they're all terrible. Yeah, I was actually there. I was there for the 30th anniversary celebration. And that's when they were talking about renaming the park.
Oh, yeah, they were horrible.
And people are like, do not do that. Like, these are all terrible names. And even if they rename it, people still call it MGM Studios, for God's sake. I mean, it doesn't matter what you rename it. But
now we're riding the Disney stock plunge adventure.
The Disney stock, this is the big drop at the end, guys. This is the ride of a lifetime, and this is the big drop at the end of a ride of a lifetime. And look, it's very possible that Disney, if they don't have any major hits in the near future, that they could go under $100 a share again. I mean,
you can't. They keep saying the parks, but the parks can only do so much because that's when the one article you're going to mention. If it's one I saw earlier, this might be something different. But I saw somebody else talking about it earlier, and they're basically like the parks are saturated. You know, until you put new things in it, you build up, open new area for more people. You really can't do much more with those. And people are getting tired of being nickel and dime. Like, I mean, if you push it any further, they're not going to come anymore.
The problem is that even if Disney announced new stuff for the American theme parks today, it is years away. years away. It's not going to affect their, you know what I'm saying? Like there's not going to be any effect on the stock price. If anything, investors should be concerned if they make big announcements for like 5 years from now, because a lot of families that only go once every couple of years are going to hold off on that trip.
That's true. That's a valid point.
They're going to hold off on that. And that's what happened when they announced Galaxy's Edge and they announced Toy Story Land and they announced like all these expansions a couple of years ago. They had a hard time filling rooms because people just wanted to wait until all the construction at Hollywood Studios was done. They wanted to wait until the stuff was built because they're like, if I'm only going to go once, I'll wait an extra year and get to go to everything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we had these like 2 or 3 years that were like these in-between years. And I remember, and this is when we were on the media list at Disney, they were telling us they were having a hard time, which is why they were doing all these hotel deals, because people, one, didn't want to deal with all the construction. And two, they're like, well, Toy Story Land's coming next year, so I'll just wait to go until next year, you know, when that's open.
Pretty much.
And so that's the thing. Like they announced, hey, we're going to do this whole big expansion, Magic Kingdom. It's coming out in 5 years. People are going to like, cool, we'll just go in 5 years.
Yeah, we have lots of time to save a really good one. Or we'll go to Epic Universe next year, and then we'll come back in a couple years after that for when your stuff opens.
Yep. So yeah, this comes from Yahoo Finance. They said basically they're going to have to deliver on what they promised now. So it's like, it's one thing to win it, but they got to bring it now. He's talking about how, you know, Coca-Cola had problems and stuff too, but he said, yeah, he's bringing it up in the wake of the Disney versus Nelson Peltz boardroom battle. Throughout the entire ordeal, we heard Disney CEO Bob Iger fire back at billionaire Peltz. We heard Peltz fire back at Iger. Neither person spoke directly to retail investors, probably because they thought it was beneath their existence on Earth. So these are just the everyday folks that are buying stock.
Neither one went directly to they went to a couple of the bigger people, but yeah, they didn't actually go speak to people directly. However, Peltz did try to do the town hall where he was talking to shareholders that might have questions for him. Like he was trying to address them, where Disney didn't really do that at all. Yeah,
they said this was a huge mistake. They said actually, it shouldn't have been that close. They said retail investors represented just under 40% of Disney's shareholder base. 75% of retail investors who cast votes backed Disney's slate, the Wall Street Journal reported. That makes complete sense. And we talked about that. We said most people that buy just Disney stock, they buy it because they like Disney. They're Disney fans. They're pixie dusters. And they're going to do what Disney tells them to do. They were sending cards out. They were sending emails out. They were, you know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, Mickey needs your help, everybody. Come on. You know, got to bring Tinkerbell back to life.
Clap if you believe.
Clap if you believe. Smack her on the ass. Get some pixie dust.
Vote white if you believe.
Vote white if you believe. Yeah, Peltz has spoken directly to that group. Maybe he would have a board seat. Maybe. They said the message to Iger is this, though. They said the average investor who owns your stock because they enjoy Mickey, your movies, and the dividend check has supported you in what you do. Show them respect. Deliver for them.
Well, you have to, but beyond that, he kept saying, oh, because Peltz was distraction. Well, now that's gone. So now you have no excuse. Now you have to deliver, and you better do it, or you're going to have it worse next year.
Yeah, they said, Bob, you can't get complacent either, or this group will turn on you and influence larger investors more than this latest go around. Execute or else.
Exactly.
The pressure on Bob Iger until he retires will stay really right.
I think that's supposed to be tight.
I think tight too. Activists are circling this company, and they're only kept at bay if the share price keeps going up.
Yeah, and it did. So they thought, oh, look, it's going up. Bob's doing great. And I know other people said it too. It's like, I think it's going up because Peltz, because when you look at when it went up when Peltz announced the proxy fight. And then it stayed up until it looked like Disney was going to win. And then it started to go down.
This is when he said
it was like $23, $23.
Yep.
And now it's at I think if you look at the daily, it's about $113.50. Last time it was checked.
Yeah, and I think it's very, very possible that they could dip under $100 again because again, the takeaway from CinemaCon especially is meh. This is the best you got. This is the best you got. I mean, I do think that Deadpool is going to make money unless it's like the worst movie ever. But
the popcorn bucket, I love the idea. And I think it's funny. And I think it's great they're doing it. But a lot of people, like pixie duster people, are going to be like, oh my God, why did they do this? And they're not going to be happy about it.
Yeah,
I
agree.
They will be happy. I think it's hilarious. I can't wait to see it. But I think it's brilliant. But people might be like, oh.
Well, maybe it'll go for a lot on eBay then. I don't know. So this too, they were talking about the Hollywood Reporter, talking about how everybody went into debt chasing streaming. And now Disney's even like, hey, we spent way too much on streaming. So Disney Plus, like all that Disney Plus, all those Disney Plus gains, that could evaporate. There's nothing really exciting coming out of the theme parks, especially here in the States. It's just everything's a reskin. Although to their credit, I said it before and I said it in the podcast, I'll say it again, the animatronics for Tiana look really good.
They do. I just worry about how much of the ride they're in.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's going to be the end scene and the rest of it's going to be all screens because we're not seeing a whole lot. We saw a couple of frogs and we saw Tiana and we saw Louie.
What we've seen, Lewis.
Yeah.
What we've seen is really good.
Yeah.
I do think it's really, really, really good.
Yeah. So we'll see how.
Well, they have to do really well with this. They have to. Because if they don't, they're going to get so much shit. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you can't take a ride like Splash Mountain, which is, I don't think it's necessarily beloved because of the characters, but they definitely do add a lot to it. I think it's just a beloved attraction just in general, but like you can't cheap out on that because people are going to be highly, highly critical of this. And if they drop the ball with this, it's going to be like, oh my God, because Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Blah, 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 blah. The Mickey ride, right? It was cool, but people are like, you got rid of all those animatronics from the Great Movie Ride for a bunch of screens.
Well, a lot of people on the boards have been talking about how much they miss the Great Movie Ride.
They could have had it both ways. To this day, now we're turning this into a Disney podcast, but I do not understand why they had the animation building right there. They're not using it for much. They could have put the Mickey attraction, which would have made a hell of a lot more sense to put that in the animation building, and then just refresh the Great Movie Ride with newer movies.
Yeah, especially since they own so many.
Yeah, they own most everything on the ride. You take a couple out you don't own and just replace it with something else or make another whatever. People love that ride. Literally, Hollywood Studios, for those of you who don't know, Hollywood Studios was built around the Great Movie Ride. The Great Movie Ride was supposed to be a movie pavilion, a Hollywood pavilion in Epcot.
Yep.
And that's why it's like the other side of Epcot. But then Michael Eisner was like, no, because Universal was coming. He's like, let's just build a whole Hollywood park around it. And so then what did they do? They gutted it. They took it out.
And it used to be a working studio.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been for years, which is sad. Like the animation studio, I wish they would have gone back to using it as an animation studio. But, here we are.
Yeah.
Not Star Wars again.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, not again, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's just like, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's just like, yeah, it's not looking too good, guys. You're going to have to deliver.
They're going to have some big announcements for the U.S. parks.
Yes.
You're going to have to start, bringing out some things that are impressive to people. Like you're teasing all these, CinemaCon, we showed this stuff and it looks really good. Okay, post it on the internet. Show people the trailers and stuff so they can see it, decide for themselves. If you think it's that great, then that might get your stocks up and people are excited about it. But right now you're just like, take our word for it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Show people more.
More people are excited about Beetlejuice 2 than anything Disney announced. I'm just saying. Like, I heard more about Beetlejuice 2 and people being super excited they're going to use practical effects than I heard anything about Disney's. But yeah, whatever. Good luck with that. We'll see. I think it's going to go below $100 again, though, before the end of the year.
I don't know. It might. We'll see.
All right. We're going to wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.